Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2057B, and today's date is December 29th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Barr exposes the deep state agenda, Haspel cooperating, Seth Rich back in the news. Before we get started, let's talk about protecting yourself. On a recent episode of the Dr. Phil Show, a man whose smart devices were hacked says it has changed everything for him and his wife's life. One of the best things you can do to help protect your personal phone and internet data is sign up for a free 30-day trial of Virtual Shield VPN mobile and desktop app. Virtual Shield is offering a holiday season special of 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is all about. Click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like the Patriots, they are bringing the plan together. And we know this is taking quite a while. And there's a reason why it has taken so long. Because Trump and the Patriots, they needed to bring all the pieces together, needed to educate the people. And this is a slow process because remember, the people have been brainwashed for quite a while. But people are starting to catch on right now. And Bill Barr is asking the question, if they knew everything was fake, why did they continue getting the FISA warrants? What was their agenda after they realized it was fake? And he's going after them, looking to expose their true agenda. We see Gina Haspel, the director of the CIA. She had a choice, either go down with the ship or provide information which Durham needed. And it looks like she is now cooperating with Durham. And we also see Seth Rich, the hack of the DNC server. All of this is coming back at them. We'll be talking about this a little bit later in this report. But first, I wanted to talk about Michael Bloomberg, who is running for president right now. We know that he was the mayor of New York. And The Intercept reported that Bloomberg, his campaign, contracted a call company named Procom, which runs call centers out of New Jersey and Oklahoma. Now, according to this report, 2 of the Oklahoma call centers are operated out of a state prison. The prisoners were required to end each call by disclosing the calls were made by the Bloomberg campaign. However, they were not forced to disclose they were calling from a prison. And it looks like Bloomberg was caught. And he went ahead and he issued an apology after he was caught. And this is what he said. Earlier today, a news outlet accurately reported that a subcontractor for one of my vendors was using prison workers to make phone calls on behalf of my campaign. After learning this, we immediately ended our relationship with that company. Full statement. So he didn't know anything about it. Those people didn't know anything about it. And it is unclear whether or not those individuals in prison received any payment whatsoever. None whatsoever. Now, the deep state, they are in a panic. Remember, they started this fake impeachment. They voted on the articles of impeachment, but they don't have a crime. And everything revolves around getting these 3 things that are in the Supreme Court: the grand jury information, Trump's tax returns, or the testimony from Don McGahn. They need one of these. And it looks like the oral arguments in the D.C. Court of Appeals for the House Judiciary Committee to obtain Mueller's grand jury information, they're scheduled for January 3rd, 2020. Now, the HJC is leveraging, that's the House Judiciary Committee, is leveraging the Senate impeachment trial in their arguments to gain access to the Mueller material. Now, Nancy Pelosi is not going to deliver any of the articles of impeachment because she knows she doesn't have anything to back it up with. These are not crimes. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, it will be a huge fail. So I do believe we're going to see nothing happen until after January 30th. And most likely we're not going to see anything happen until all 3 have failed. Now, remember, the House never voted to authorize the full judicial impeachment process. Instead, they voted to approve an inquiry into whether an impeachment should take place. By not voting to authorize articles of impeachment, the House never gained judicial enforcement authority. And what the House crew have assembled is an interesting backdoor attempt to position a valid claim for evidence against the accused without having first gained judiciary authority for it. The HJC is now arguing to appeals court and likely to SCOTUS. The blocked evidentiary material is critical evidence in a soon-to-be-held Senate trial. And if they don't have it, it is a fail. Do I think they're going to get it? Absolutely not. I think it's a big fail no matter what. But they're going to try until the very end. And when push comes to shove, they're going to have to move forward with the articles of impeachment. What else are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to protect themselves, and they're trying to turn as many Republicans as they possibly can by using what they've always done in the past, the same tactic. It's called blackmail. They're trying to find things on certain individuals. And remember, Pelosi will not release the transcript from the secret Schiff basement meetings. That will exonerate Trump and indict, most likely, the whistleblower of perjury. The hidden transcripts are buried evidence that shows the so-called whistleblower committed perjury. Representative Ratcliffe said House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff is burying evidence of the whistleblower's crimes in the House SCIF. Now, a couple weeks ago, Ratcliffe revealed he asked the IG Atkinson about his investigation into the contacts between Schiff's staff and the person who later became the whistleblower. The transcript is classified secret, so Schiff can prevent you from seeing the answers to my question. And Ratcliffe suggested that the whistleblower committed perjury by making false statements in his written forms when he filed his application with the ICIG, and that Adam Schiff is hiding it so he could protect the whistleblower from a criminal investigation. They're panicking. They need to hide all this, and they're trying all these backdoor ways to try to push their agenda. Remember, they're fighting for their lives. We'll be talking about this a little bit later. Q posted some more posts, and Q is letting us know that they are doing everything possible because they know if this all fails, they fail. Is this going to fail? Absolutely. Actually, we can see Joe Biden. He's a little nervous right now. He was being interviewed by a newspaper, and he said that he will not comply with a Senate subpoena in Trump's impeachment trial. And he's saying that, well, this whole thing is not about me. It's about Trump. It's about Trump being impeached. And I'm not going to cooperate. Well, then he kind of backtracked on all that, and he tweeted out the following. I want to clarify something I said yesterday in my 40 years in public life. I've always complied with lawful order, and in my 8 years as VP, my office, unlike Donald Trump and Mike Pence, cooperated with legitimate congressional oversight requests. Notice how he put legitimate congressional oversight requests. The requests from Trump are not legitimate. But I am just not going to pretend that there is any legal basis for Republican subpoenas for my testimony in the impeachment trial. That is the point I was making yesterday, and I reiterate, the impeachment is about Trump's conduct, not mine. The subpoenas should go to witnesses with testimony to offer to Trump's shaking down the Ukraine government. They should go to the White House. Well, no, you're involved in this. And if he was doing this to show that you're the one who was pushing a certain agenda where there was corruption, he needs to put this out there to show why he went ahead and he was talking to the president of Zelensky, talking about we should clear up this corruption. And if there is any, you need to let me know. By Joe Biden doing this, you can see that he is completely panicking about what is going to come next. And that is a Senate trial where Trump can subpoena witnesses, where he can call people in, and he can produce evidence and facts. And if you notice, they're getting a little worried about this. Now, very interestingly, it seems that Twitter had some glitches. That's what they like to call it. If something disappears and tweets disappear and you can't get to a Twitter account, they call it a glitch. And it only happens, this glitch, when they're exposed. And once they're called out on it, that's when they say, oh, it was a glitch. But how come these glitches only happen to Trump and those people who are retweeting what Trump is tweeting? It doesn't make any sense. And Trump on Thursday tweeted out an article that names the alleged whistleblower. Trump retweeted a tweet from the Trump War Room. Trump also retweeted QAnon tweets with the hashtag QAnon. Those accounts were taken down because they look suspicious. Very interesting. Why is Trump being censored like this? Well, Twitter's saying he isn't. It's just a glitch. But everything happens to Trump and the people who are following, and any tweets that Trump retweets. Now, very interestingly, out in North Carolina, a U.S. District Court Judge, Loretta Biggs, has delayed a decision on North Carolina voter ID legislation until next week. Judge Biggs, an Obama appointee, has temporarily blocked measures that would require legal identification at the ballot box in 2020. Notification of the delay was appended to NAACP versus Cooper, one of two lawsuits challenging the new restrictions. The decision comes just before a statewide mailing, which would explain them. Now, Speaker of the House Tim Moore called on the board to fight the last-minute attempt by an activist federal judge to overturn the will of the North Carolina voters. Now, remember, asking for ID is not racist. It's not discriminatory, because think about it. These same people, they need to show ID to get food stamps. They need ID to get welfare. You need ID to rent a car or anything. I mean, I can go down the list here. You need an ID for all these things. And it isn't racist. It isn't discriminatory to ask for the ID for those things. They're just using these words to try to turn things in their favor. And Tim Moore says to issue an injunction against one of the nation's most lenient voter ID laws, which 34 states already have, without providing an opinion is an outrageous affront to due process, the rights of North Carolina voters, and the rule of law. And he's absolutely right. Now, very interestingly, we talked about Stacey Abrams, where she tried to stop Georgia from purging 309,000 names, these individuals that haven't voted in many, many years. Well, it looks like it didn't go well for Stacey Abrams, because on Friday, a judge ruled against the Fair Fight Action and Stacey Abrams. A judge decided that Abrams' group was improperly asking the judge to interpret state law, and said the group failed to prove anyone's constitutional rights would be violated as a result, and that any voter registration erroneously canceled could simply be restored within 24 to 48 hours, according to the rules of Georgia. And this is not a problem. And once again, the push to manipulate has completely failed. And I believe this is going to backfire in North Carolina also. Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked about Syria and the chemical weapons that were used in Syria, and WikiLeaks has been dumping batches of information which show that, there wasn't a chemical attack there. People did not get sick from chlorine. And it looks like WikiLeaks, they dumped their fourth batch now. Now, this batch is very interesting, because in one of the leaked email exchanges from February 27 to 28th between members of the fact-finding mission deployed to Duma and senior officials of the OPCW, the watchdog's chief of cabinet, Sebastian Braha, ordered the removal of all traces of a report by Ian Henderson. It says, please get this document out of DRA, Documents Registry Archive, and please remove all traces of any, its delivery, storage, whatever, in DRA. Henderson had inspected the sites in Duma, and 2 cylinders that were found on the site of the alleged attack. In this report, he had concluded that the cylinders were more likely placed there, not dropped. His findings heavily indicated that the attack was staged. U.S. media and politicians uncritically claimed that the cylinders were dropped from the air by the Syrian government, killing civilians. Now, WikiLeaks also released minutes from a meeting on June 6, 2018, where members of the OPCW met with 3 toxicologists, clinical pharmacologists, 1 bioanalytical and toxicological chemist who also specialized in chemical weapons. The purpose of the meeting were to solicit expert advice on the value of exhuming suspected victims of the alleged chemical attack in Durham on April 7, 2018, and to elicit expert opinions from the forensic toxicologists regarding the observed and reported symptoms of the alleged victims. They were particularly interested in whether the symptoms observed in victims were consistent with exposure to chlorine or other reactive chlorine gas. During the meeting, the experts informed OPCW that with the respect of the consistency of the observed and reported symptoms of the alleged victims with possible exposure to chlorine gas or similar, the experts were conclusive in their statements that there was no correlation between symptoms and chlorine exposure. Now, what's very interesting is that because of these fake chemical attacks, missiles were launched, and we also had a military push because they use this to push their agenda. And now we come to find out that all of this was fake. So once again, the alternative media was saying that this was a false flag, and the mainstream media was saying that this was real. And it turns out from the dump from WikiLeaks and looking at the emails that this turns out to be fake once again. Now, Q dropped quite a few posts. We're going to go through some today. We're going to start off with post 3754. Q refers us back to a previous post, and it says, imagine what would happen if by law every U.S. congressman, woman, U.S. senator, president, etc., was by U.S. law audited every 1 to 2 years by an independent agency. Imagine what would happen if those audits extended to all family members of such elected officials. What would D's continue to push for foreign aid to other C's versus the homeland? What happens when the kickbacks dry up? M. Waters, $4 million house. Nancy Pelosi net worth $150 million plus. Joe Biden's son brother net worth tens of millions. Clinton family $200 million. Pre-election less than $1 million. Obama family $40 million plus. Pre-election less than $1 million. Disguised under book deals. Those who take are offered more powerful positions within the party, controlled, drain the swamp. Under this, Q gave us a Twitter link to Michael Caudry, and it says Obama gave Pearson Publishing a government contract worth $350 million for the work to create the Common Core text for his administration's education initiative. A subsidiary of the same publisher gave Obama roughly $65 million for his book deal after he left office. Why are multiple states giving Pearson Publishing $100 million contracts to administer their state testing for Obama's Common Core educational initiative? Call your state reps and demand they reverse this decision. Q says U.S. taxpayer with an arrow pointing to federal government. So taxpayers, they hand in their funds to the federal government. The federal government, Hussein, in brackets in bold, give their money, where Hussein gives the money from the federal government, from the taxpayers, to Pearson Publishing. Pearson Publishing then returns some of the funds to Hussein. And it says Biden, ? Yes, Biden did the same thing with his book deals. He got it from Flaherty, who published Biden's book, which is a Macmillan imprint. And Pearson acquired the Macmillan name in 1998. Follow the money. Corruption. And Q has mentioned how this scam works before. So what did Obama do? Well, he gave taxpayer money to Pearson to create Common Core educational program, which is really created to dumb down America. Educators were not really involved in the creation of Common Core. way back, I did an interview with Dr. Duke Pesta on Common Core. You can see this on YouTube if you go to X22 Report Spotlight and you search under Dr. Duke Pesta, it will bring up this interview. So what did Pearson give in return? They gave Obama $65 million book deal. Where did they get these funds? From the taxpayers. Our tax dollars have been used to make these people very wealthy. The deep state funnels funds through foreign aid, charities, disaster relief, stimulus packages, grants, book deals, etc. They send that money out, it gets laundered, and it comes right back into their pockets. Let's move on to post 3755. This is the December 27, 2019. Q gives us a Twitter link to HiV7, and in this tweet, it has the word resignation, and there's a article link. And this is Pearson CEO to retire, and company will sell remaining Penguin Random House stake. Now that's very interesting. Q says, do you believe in coincidences? So the individual who is the CEO, and this is Fallon, he decided that it was time to retire. And Q is saying, is this a coincidence? Well, remember, Q has been posting about book deals. Let's go back to post 3394. This is July 9th, 2019, and gave us an article to CNBC about Joe Biden and his tax returns. And it says 15 million plus more personally declared. What an amazing coincidence. Think yesterday's drop disguised under a book deal. So Q started to call out these book deals. If we go back to July 8th, 2019, 3383, gave us a previous Q post, and it says U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord, Red Cross, foreign aid, war, book deals. Down below, it says all of this, M. Wooders, $4 million house, Nancy Pelosi, all this disguised under book deals. So is this a coincidence? It is not a coincidence. They're realizing that this information is coming out, and people are now resigning, getting out of the way so they're not caught up in this. Let's move on to post 3756. And Anon put up a picture of Trump getting out of a helicopter near the White House. And it says, when will they ask the question? So an Anon is asking, when will they ask the question if Q is real or not? Q said, something big is coming. So when will the mainstream media finally ask the question, is Q real? Is the mainstream media ever going to ask Trump? I don't think so. I think they're instructed not to ask him. And we know that Q has said that the issue might have to be forced. What is Trump doing right now? He's retweeting tweets with hashtag QAnon. Once Trump does this, those Twitter accounts are taken down. Why? Because the mainstream media, the deep state, they're panicking. They know what happens when this comes out. They know their entire conspiracy, everything that they wrote about, turns out to be fake. And I do believe that Trump is going to finally just going to have to come out and say it. Might be at a press conference, might be on the lawn of the White House. He might just come out and blurt it out. But I do believe if no one asks and he keeps forcing the issue, he's just going to come out and say it. And the mainstream media, the deep state, they're going to go into spin mode. Are they going to accept this? No. I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to say if this is an individual, they're breaking all the rules of classification, and they're going to try to take that avenue to try to hit this individual hard, to say that they're breaking the rules, and a lot of this information is classified. And I think Q and team have already prepared for this. Now, this photo that we're looking at, this is a tweet from Dan Scavino Jr. This was February 23rd, 2018. And it says about an hour ago, at POTUS, at Real Donald Trump returns to the White House from CPAC CPAC 2018. And this is him coming off of Marine One and going into the Oval Office. Let's move on to post 3757. And Anon on December 27, 2019 said, God wins, all caps. And this is from 763 with 4 sevens. So an Anon has been quoting Q, and this Anon has posted God wins a couple of times, and Q confirms, yes, God, the Patriots are going to win. Post 3758, Q gives us an older post, which is from November 13, 2019. This is post 3591. Gives us a YouTube link. This is a YouTube video of Nancy Pelosi and her son with the connections to Ukraine. Says follow the family. Down below, Q gives us a Twitter link to Trump, and Trump is responding to Constitutional Republic. Text Trump 88022, and it says at OANN exposes those Democrats and the Ukraine ties, Joe Hunter and Nancy and Paul. Seems like it's a family affair. What's going on here? Pay attention to 1:13 in this video, as it has been removed from social media. So Trump says, wow, crazy Nancy, what's going on? This is big stuff. Q responds, they are fighting for their lives. Good people in place. So, back in this post 3591, Q posted a video of Nancy Pelosi and her son Paul. This video showed their involvement in the Ukraine energy sector, and her son Paul is giving a little speech on what great work they're doing. Trump retweeted this, and in the retweet, the previous video in post 3591, there are parts of the same footage that have been used. And Q is saying that these people are fighting for their lives. They know what is coming. They were all involved in Ukraine. The clock is ticking down. And this is why they're pushing the fake impeachment so hard. Let's move on to post 3759. And this is the same post that we just saw. And it says, DJT, Donald J. Trump, retweets himself 2 hours later, driving the point home. Q says, post drop 5x5. Q confirms Trump retweet of the video. Q then gives us the 5x5, loud and clear on Ukraine. They have it all. Let's move on to post 3760. This is a Twitter link. This is T. Henrich 22. And it says, holy shit, Barr asked a question that needed to be asked. What was their agenda after the election? Why did they keep pressing for more FISA warrants? They lie, cheat, and steal from we the people, and they don't give a shit about us, power and control. Take a listen to what Bill Barr says.
Well, what I said is their case collapsed after the election, and they never told the court, and they kept on getting renewals on these applications. There was documents falsified in order to get these renewals. There was all kinds of withholding of information from the court. And the question really is, what was the agenda after the election that kept them pressing ahead after their case collapsed? This is the President of the United States.
So from this, Barr is letting us know that the FBI continued this, even though they knew it was fake. And what was their end game? What was their agenda? This tells me that Durham and Barr have already figured out their agenda. And it had nothing to do with what the FBI, what Strzok, Page, Brennan are trying to make it seem like. They were actually spying on Trump and others. Let's move on to post 3761. This is a Twitter link from TrueQ Anuk 11. And it says, CNN's Brian Stelter is calling out President Trump's RTs, his retweets, this morning of QAnon's account. He claims this is very unpresidential and is in full-blown panic mode about the president sharing the name of the alleged whistleblower. And under this it says, hashtag We Are The News Now. Panic mode. People awake is their greatest fear. Now, they're very worried about Trump doing things that are not presidential. What does it even mean to be presidential? Presidential is how you're running your presidency. I mean, I think it's unpresidential to take taxpayer funds and money launder it and have funds come back to you. That's very unpresidential. But what's very interesting about this is this, once again, the mainstream media, they are not asking the question to Trump. It would clear this all up. Why are you retweeting the hashtag QAnon if it's a conspiracy theory? Why would you do that? They're afraid of the answer. That's why they're continually going off on this. This is why they're going around it instead of asking the question, to make people think that it's a conspiracy when it truly is not. And once again, Twitter is removing certain accounts, hiding certain things. Post 3762 gives us an older post, and this is post 1764, and this is from 2018, and I believe the part that Q is wanting us to look at is down below where it says, Defense Intelligence Liaison to British Intelligence in London, Think UK, current director of the CIA Station Chief, London, UK. Furthermore, Haspel is seen as a Russia expert and a close ally of Britain's MI6, having been London Station's chief from 2014 to 2017. Down below this, Q gives us a Twitter link to Natasha Bertrand, and it says, New, the CIA director herself may get drawn into the Barr Durham probe as they investigate rumors about Joseph Mifsud. As London Station Chief in 2016, Haspel was briefed on the Russia-linked professor's contact with Papadopoulos, per sources. But 2, she said it sounded like an FBI matter according to the IG report, which redacts Haspel's name. That would seem to pour cold water on the substantial theories that Mifsud was a CIA asset, as some Trump allies have alleged. Under this, it says Haspel made director for a specific reason. Brennan tapped directly for support. Brennan, class section division, pointing an arrow to spy underscore T, spying on Trump. If CIA was running black up spy underscore T, spying on Trump, in UK would Haspel, station chief, be informed and instructed? MI6, meetings with Durham. The only way to restore faith is through transparency and accountability. Haspel, as we know, was CIA station chief in London in 2016. Haspel was put in her position for a specific reason, to get the information from Brennan. Actually, she has access to all of it. Now, she could either go along with Brennan, hide everything, or cooperate with Barr and Durham. Well, she decided to cooperate with Durham. And the mainstream media is panicking over this. They know that she has access to Brennan's communications. She knew what was going on during this period. Let's move on to post 3763. Gives us post 3762. And down below gives us Gina C. Haspel, Central Intelligence Agency career timeline, and gives her career from 1995 all the way up to the present. And it says down below, geolocation 2015 to 2017. Well, the job summary that was provided confirms that Haspel was CIA station chief from 2014 to 2017. So she was definitely there, like Q was saying, geolocation from 2015 to 2017. And she's cooperating with Durham. You think the deep state, you think Brennan is a little worried about this? Absolutely. And it's starting to show. I mean, just look at Joe Biden. I'm not going to cooperate with the subpoenas, and it looks like someone must have spoke to him, and he had to explain what he was going to do. This means they're panicking, because now they're blurting out things that they're not going to cooperate until their handlers, whoever it is, speaks to them, and then they amend what they say. Post 3764. This is December 28, 2019, and it says DNC servers CrowdStrike. Did Russia break into DNC servers? Why did FBI accept indirect evidence, re DNC servers hack break-in by CrowdStrike? This is in bold brackets, Ukraine, from Ukraine. Why didn't FBI directly investigate DNC servers? Brackets bold, in hand. Download speed internal data, DL versus remote, with brackets 1. Gives us a link to Real Clear Politics. And this is Assange to Hannity. This is what it says. Hannity, can you say to the American people unequivocally that you did not get this information about the DNC, John Podesta's emails? Can you tell the American people 1,000% that you did not get it from Russia or anybody associated with Russia? And just to let you know, this is from 2017. Julian Assange, yes, we can say, we have said repeatedly that over the last 2 months that our source is not the Russian government and it is not a state party. Now, down below in this post, it has brackets 1 again, bold, and it says, how does one provide content to WL? Computer to computer. And it has another arrow, person to person. And next to person, it has the number 1. And WL, by the way, is WikiLeaks. And then below this, it says personal comms, brackets, bold, secured prior to release, with another 1 that's bold in brackets. The sources, and then there's an arrow pointing to feeder, which has the bracket 1, an arrow pointing to recipient with brackets 1. Interning for the DNC can be deadly. Who interned? Seth Rich. Does CrowdStrike possess government capability to trace break-in routes? No. Does CrowdStrike possess government capability, re foreign intercepts? No. Possible to layer insert code CrowdStrike to designate intruder intended target. NSA data bridge, DNC CrowdStrike, bulk data collection. Matters of national security, highest level. FISA is only the beginning. The hole is deep. Now, CrowdStrike, they say they have the ability to do this, but they do not. They cannot track back any of this. And we know from Julian Assange, from Bill Binney, that it was impossible for Russia to download this information. Now, Q puts a lot of number 1s next to certain things like person to person, not computer to computer, but person to person, telling us that this was an inside job. Also, personal comm secured prior to release, feeder, recipient, and I believe the 1 next to all these things, that is the evidence, that is the facts, it is confirmed. And I interviewed Bill Binney on the X22 Report Spotlight channel, and he confirms that it would not be possible for the Russians to hack the DNC. Take a listen to Bill Binney.
NSA has moderate confidence that the Russians hacked. Now, that was in the ICA. The CIA and FBI had high confidence, and NSA only had moderate. Now, what that tells you, first of all, the only one that matters in that deal is NSA. FBI and CIA don't have anywhere the capabilities that NSA does. So NSA is the one looking at all these networks. And if any packets were transferred from the DNC to anywhere in the world, they would have at least 1 packet. And that's all they need to know where it came from and where it went. So the point is, if NSA had those packets, they would have absolute confidence on who hacked and who did and where it went. And when they did it and how much they got. So it's not a question of not knowing. The fact that they didn't know said they didn't have packets, said that the hack did not occur. That was my initial impression back in August of 2016, and that's what I was saying at the time. And so we immediately, back in July of 2017, we sent out an initial note from VIPs, the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, saying, the rates of transfer told us that this was not a hack. It did not go across the Atlantic, and so on. And we had a number of individuals inside the VIPs who thought, well, it could be. They still believed it could go at that rate. That's because they were looking at their local networks where you could have a very high-speed transfer like gigabit lines. You could easily transfer that data for short distances. but you don't have a gigabit line across the Atlantic to Europe and all that. So that's where it falls down. So we said, okay, if you believe that, we're going to try and test it. So we did. We tested it from Albania, Serbia, the Netherlands, and the UK to see at the transfer rates. And the highest we got for that were from between data centers in New Jersey and London. And that was 12 megabytes per second. That's less than 1/4 the necessary transfer rate that we already calculated from the files that Gooser 2 had put on the web. So that told us that was not a hack. But all those the speeds coming down for those files all matched with a thumb drive on a computer. That was all compatible with that.
So the question is, why didn't the FBI examine the service? Because they knew it wasn't a hack. It was person to person. Binney did the calculation. It wasn't a hack. Assange confirms with Hannity. And Q is now confirming that this is true. Let's move on to post 3765. And Anon gives us memes and has Comey standing in the woods looking up, saying, "Oh Lordy." And in this picture, up top, it gives us a little section here from a post, from Q's post, and it says, "Bigger slam dunk charges coming. Public understanding of events just around the corner." Now remember, people got really upset when I.G. Horowitz referred Comey to the Department of Justice, saying yes, he should be prosecuted for leaking Trump's notes or his memos, and people got very upset that the Department of Justice turned this down. Q back then told us that a bigger slam dunk where they have signatures, the facts, the evidence was coming. Now under this meme, there's another meme of Comey and McCabe standing behind bars in orange jumpsuits. They're both holding books. McCabe is holding What Happened. This is Hillary Rodham Clinton. And James Comey is A Higher Loyalty. This is written by him. And on the shelf next to them is 3 packs of Depends men diapers. And they're standing there in prison, saying that their time is coming. And Q is confirming they have a slam dunk case against them. Let's move on to post 3766. In this post, and Anon gave us an article. This is from August 9th, 2017. And it says, a new report raises big questions about last year's DNC hack. And what this goes over is the same thing that Bill Binney just described on how it was impossible back in 2016 that the downloading of data at the speeds that were required, it was not there. It could not happen. So with this post, it seems that Q is confirming that this was completely impossible, just like Bill Binney said. Let's move on to post 3767. This is a meme, and it says, "Let me get this straight. Biden blackmailed Ukraine with $1 billion in tax dollars to drop an investigation into his son, and Democrats want to impeach President Trump simply for asking if it was true." Then Q gives us a Twitter link to USA Book Club, and it says, his corrupt father, Joe Biden, should be under criminal investigation too. Joe Biden held back $1 billion until the Ukraine fired the prosecutor investigating his son's company, then lied about it. And with this has the video of Joe Biden telling the story, and everyone is laughing. Under this, it says, easy to understand. And it is very easy to understand. And we know that the deep state, the Dems, they don't have anything against Trump. They're trying to find things with their fake impeachment. They have articles of impeachment that will go nowhere. We know from the Supreme Court there are 3 cases. They're not going to get that information. We see Joe Biden panicking that he doesn't want to cooperate. Of course, he had to amend his statement because they know what happens when they go to Senate trial. All of their corruption is exposed to the world. It will be televised. And during this process, what are Trump and the Patriots doing? They're educating the people. The Dems, the deep state, they're in panic mode. Who's cooperating with Barr, Haspel, and many others? What are they looking at? the true agenda of what they were doing, because they knew from the IG Pfizer report that the information that they had, the dossier and everything else, it was all fake. So why did they continue? It's all coming out. And we're going to be educated even further as we go along. The deep state is panicking. The Dems are panicking. They are trapped. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.